Time for our all sleeper team, 7 hidden gems to draft late on Fantasy Football Today Express. Okay, we've got Jamie here with his favorite sleepers. Jamie, who's I'm going to call him the captain, the quarterback of the all sleeper team?
I don't know if he's a captain, but it's Will Levis. Basically free based on his average draft position. I like they're revealing it like this. Basically free based on his average draft position. I think he's going to surprise some people this year. You know, we saw in his first NFL game last year, 34 fantasy points against the Falcons. I believe it was week 8. And then just things, a lot of unlucky situation, bad offensive line play, bad receiver play. They've changed all of that, and I think the system will be beneficial for him. So this is not a guy that you're probably going to draft in one quarterback leagues. But I do think that this is going to be one of the more popular waiver wire candidates. And so if he gets off to a good start, DeAndre Hopkins is healthy, Calvin Ridley making plays, we're gonna be talking about Will Levis as one of these guys that was a huge hit based on, again, where you drafted him, and one of the better waiver wire options throughout the course of the season.
All right, we'll decide who wears the captain armband later. We'll see who jumps out. Who are your sleeper running backs?
I'll go with Jaleel McLaughlin and Ty Chandler. So I'm pandering to the producer here with Ty Chandler. But no, I think Chandler's in line for a good opportunity this season to be maybe the Vikings' best running back, because Aaron Jones, 29 years old, is coming off a season where he ended well but missed multiple games. I believe it was 6 games during the season with hamstring and knee problems. And so older running back, you heard me say this a lot. We heard a report from Yahoo that we could see potential 50-50 split. And Chandler, after pick 110, 120 overall, is just easy to draft as basically an RB4 and RB5. And McLaughlin, if you just got done listening to our full length show on Friday, I agree with Jacob wholeheartedly that we're going to see a lot of touches for these Broncos running backs. And while Javonte should be the best one, McLaughlin was actually second in you should love this, that was second in the NFL of running backs with 50 or more carries in terms of yards per carry. And so explosive type of guy, I think will prove to be better as a pass catcher than he showed last season. And if something happens to Javonte, I don't think he'll be the feature guy. I think Estime would be the first and second down guy, but McLaughlin's role will just expand even more. So another easy running back to select after pick 100.
Yeah, McLaughlin's small, so I don't know exactly what his measurements are, but our website, our fantasy page, he's 5'7", 187 pounds. Like that's
so small. If you're just trying to look at Sean Payton's history, this is Darren Sproles, and we know Sproles has had some very good fantasy years.
All right, so far we have Will Levis, Jaleel McLaughlin, and Ty Chandler. I'm not sure if we have any captain material just yet, but let's get some wide receiver sleepers, Jamie.
Yeah, I mean, these are probably the two most obvious ones based on where they're being drafted. So Josh Palmer is everybody's favorite sleeper, is one, and then Khalil Shakir would be another one. Just looking at their situations, we spent a lot of time talking about these guys. So Palmer should at this point be treated fantasy-wise as the best Chargers receiver, and we'll see if Ladd McConkey overtakes him. But I think Palmer's got certainly the history with Justin Herbert. He stepped up last year, averaged nearly 13 PPR points per game when Mike Williams went down. And, even though there's an expected pass volume decline coming, they have to replace 300 targets, Adam. That's the most targets of any team that has to be replaced when you factor in Keenan Allen's gone, Mike Williams gone, Gerald Everett's gone, and Austin Eckler's gone. So there's a lot of opportunities here. And we know the running backs aren't going to be significant factors in the backfield. So I think Palmer's in line for a great situation. And the same thing with Shakir. 241 targets have to be replaced in Buffalo with Diggs gone and with Gabe Davis gone. And Shakir, again, only guy with a track record with Josh Allen and third-year receiver. Love the setup for him. I think both these guys are great. Fourth, for me, it would be fifth receivers that you can work into hopefully your starting lineup as the year goes on.
There is just one flaw in your Josh Palmer logic. They don't have to replace all those targets because they had the third most pass attempts in football last year.
No. But there's opportunities there. There's a lot of vacated production.
Yeah, there is. But it might be, how many targets was it?
300.
Yeah, so it might be 200 because if they went from 632 to 532, that might be a lot. Like for reference, there were 3 teams that had fewer than 500 pass attempts last year: the Ravens, Titans, and 49ers. I'm a little skeptical that the Chargers are going to be as run heavy as they want to be because just don't know that they have a good running back at this point. And Justin Herbert's their best player. So hopefully they throw 530 times. That would be as much as the Falcons did last season. They were 25th in pass attempts. So far we have Levis, McLaughlin, Ty Chandler, Josh Palmer, maybe an early captain candidate, and Khalil Shakir on our all sleeper team. We'll come back after this break and talk about a tight end and a flex after this on FFT Express. All right, Jamie, who's your sleeper tight end?
Doesn't even have an ADP right now, and that's Juwan Johnson. We talk about, again, can you be first or second on your team in targets? And you look at the Saints right now, and I do think Rashid Shaheed's going to have a big role. We'll see if any of the other receivers step up, and Alvin Kamara clearly out of the backfield, but it's just uncertainty behind Chris Olave. And I think Johnson showed at the end of last season, 3 of his final 4 games, 11 plus PPR points in 3 of those. And I think it's in the games that he had 6 or 7 targets. At least I wrote, it's on the site, 6 or 7 targets. He was over 12 PPR points per game in those games when he had opportunities like that. So healthy after the foot surgery that he had this offseason. I think that scared some people off, understandably so. Taysom Hill is not your traditional tight end, so don't view that as a threat. And so Johnson, I think, in this offense, remember, it's the Clint Kubiak offense coming from San Francisco. Tight ends are featured prominently. One of my favorite late-round targets.
Yeah, he actually had a lot of momentum, Juwan Johnson, in the end of the year, the last 3 games. 7 targets and a touchdown, 12 targets and a touchdown, and then only 3 targets the following week, but he only played 46% of the snaps, and that was it for Johnson. He must have left with an injury, and that was it. So, some good momentum there for him. He also had pretty good momentum at the end of the 2022 season and wasn't really able to carry it over to 2023, but this is a sleeper tight end with opportunities here. All right, so who's our flex on the all sleeper team?
Let's go Brian Thomas Jr. Again, another guy with a big opportunity here to maybe be the number 1 receiver for the Jaguars. And look, we've sort of debated, the big plays and how they're coming about in the preseason. He had 2 catches over 38 yards. One was a downfield throw, one was a catch and run. But that's what he's going to do. He's going to be raw. There's going to be weeks where he struggles, but you love the 900-yard number, and I'd be shocked if he stays healthy if he doesn't go over 900 yards by the end of the season. So a guy that will probably be one of these typical rookies by the end of the year. We're saying must-start receiver. Christian Kirk's a little bit banged up going into the start of the season. We know that he's not necessarily going to play on all I shouldn't say. We don't expect him to play in 2 receiver sets a lot. And so Thomas and Gabe Davis could be on the field a lot. And Trevor Lawrence looks good right now. Offensive line's better in Jacksonville. I think Thomas ends up as the 3rd best rookie wide receiver behind Marvin Harrison and Malik Neighbors.
You who don't expect who to be on the field in 3 receivers.
Kirk.
Yeah, that's the one I'm not sure about. I still think he's their best wide receiver. And this is what happened in week 1 of 2022. Zay Jones was on the field. Christian Kirk was not in 3 receiver sets. And that was the end of that experiment. And they just realized, hey, we got to get Christian Kirk on the field more. So I like week 1, it would surprise me unless Kirk is just not healthy or not fully healthy that Brian Thomas is playing ahead of Christian Kirk, I guess.
Their best personnel is 11 personnel. So get all 3 on the field.
Yeah. And most teams are, I think we make a little bit too much of this 2 receivers.
I totally agree.
Most teams are in 11 personnel a lot. Like the Chargers probably won't be. That's one where I guess I shouldn't say that. I could see a scenario where the Chargers aren't. I don't know what this Greg Roman offense is going to look like. They have different personnel than all the other stops.
And some teams like the Bills, for example, may be in a lot of 12 personnel because Kincaid is more of a receiver than a blocker.
Yeah, right. But, still teams are in 11 personnel, which is 3 receivers more often than not. Okay. Thank you to Jamie. Let's see. Captain of this team. Could I just make that my favorite one?
Sure.
I guess it's got to be Palmer. But I got to tell you, I think people are underestimating Khalil Shakir. I think he's more than just this little short area slot guy. I think he's got some juice. I think he's got some playmaking ability after the catch.
So I would give it to Shakir as well.
Okay, yeah.
For 2 reasons. One, I think it'd be either him or Palmer. Just because I think you got those are the 2 guys I think that have the best chance to stand out.
That being said, don't you take Brian Thomas Jr. ahead of them?
I do.
Yeah,
I have it right now. Thomas is number 39 receiver for me. Palmer is 40. Shakir is like 43 or 40.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize they were that close. But you got to also understand ADPs. You can probably, actually, ADP versus what happens in our site's different. But you might be able to take Palmer and then take Brian Thomas because he has upside. He has upside that the other guys don't have. Let's just be clear. Brian Thomas is a 1st-round pick. He's super athletic. He's got upside that Khalil Shakir and Josh Palmer don't have. Probably has a lower floor too. But so you have to decide what you want. A little consistency with Palmer, home run hitting with Thomas, or there's a chance you could take both of them. There's no problem there. And Shakir, two of those three. Thank you, Jamie. Have a great weekend. Talk to everybody on Monday on Fantasy Football Today Express.